Hi, it's Laura at Hyperstamper. This is a really special junk journal. This antique book is from 1900 and it's called A Woman Tenderfoot. It's got this beautiful gold moon, gold embossed title and author. She wrote this beautiful book here about the Western Rocky Mountains. And we've got the wolf here howling. It's just lovely. It's so beautiful. So her hope was that people would read this book, women in particular, and Eastern women who would consider coming out to the West to explore the West Coast rather than, as she called it, Europe going people. So I put some vintage beads down the side here that I made a dangle of and some old gold chains. And I'm going to take you on a little journey through this very special book. This is a Roxeter Public Library book, and you're going to see the embossed stamps all throughout the book, which is really pretty cool. I left the original pages in here, so they're super old. Look at that lovely. I've never seen a front page like that with the illustrations. There are so many illustrations in the page of the book. I did try to keep as many as I could in here. So we've got the copyright up here, copyright 1900, and then the little story that I just told you about, how she was hoping that this would encourage people to travel west on their vacations. There's a little journaling envelope here I made out of antique paper as well. And look at this, it's one of those embossed stamps I was telling you about, and that has Roxeter Mechanics Institute Library, Incorporated, 1872. So that's pretty cool. They put these stamps on a lot of the pages. This is the original interior spine of this book, so I made a belly band out of that and tucked away a 1937 Girls Own Annual page in here. One side's about ponies and one side's about making a dressing gown out of a blanket. Very resourceful. And then on the flip side, here's a 1940s home ec book and how to dust your lampshades. I made this tag here out of a 1950s women's magazine, and this is how to make jewelry for profit. And I tell you, I feel like I have some of these pieces in my vintage jewelry collection. 1920s children's book page here, a 1930s book page here. This is a wonderful little Dutch story. Wonderful clusters, a 1950s German sewing page here. And this is from the 1920s art education book, and it's absolutely stunning, teaching you how to draw in charcoal and then color in the figures here. There's bunnies on that side. I made this little page here out of a children's book page from the 30s as well. And I chose this photograph here from my album. She's on this side and this side, one in a canoe and one under a bridge, because she reminded me of the images of the women in this book. And you'll see that as we go along. I found that in a book from the 1800s, notes. So there you go. I thought that was appropriate. This is a book from this page, a plain book, a plain page. And then this is a wonderful postcard from the early 1900s. Isn't that fantastic? I love it. And just put in some vintage crochet down here. And this is on a 1930s embroidery book page, a vintage bird book page. Isn't that beautiful? And this is from the 1800s, this book page here from a children's workbook. There's some cursive writing down there, cursive writing practice. I have a blank pocket here that I'm going to add something to for the new owner of this book. It'll be on Etsy, hyperstamper.etsy.com. And they can ask for a piece of authentic ephemera that they think would be personal to them, a date, a special interest or place. And then a wonderful Mother Goose page from the 30s. I just love these children's book pages. This is a 50-year-old attendance record log book page from a lodge. 1950s receipt there. And do you know what this is? Can anybody guess? You're going to see a bit of this in the next few journals. It looks like handmade paper, but it is from a wasp's nest. I kid you not. It is, or a hornet. I forget which is which, but it has the honeycombs inside. And my son brought this home. He said, Mom, you have to use this. It looks like paper. And I thought, you know what? I'm gonna. It's really cool. I love it. This is a vintage piece here that I got at the Polish church rummage sale. I love their embroidery, and so do I, as you know. This is a lovely little image again from that 1800s page. I love the bird images so much. More vintage doilies here and a 1920s banknote there. And another wonderful botanicals book page, some vintage school book paper. This is from the early 1900s. something to draw and make. Is that cool? So you can get cardboard and then make this wonderful cat, and then you can scratch its back from the cardboard. Something that any boy or girl can make here. It's a bookmark. How to make a bird bookmark. I just love these so much. This is from the early 1900s, the book on Cranston, and I pulled a signature, D.W. Gordon, from a book, on the inside of a book, and thought I would keep that. 1937, my book house page down there. Another 1953 receipt here from the Bond Bread Bakers, and just a vintage joker there I thought was kind of fun. Jimmy's Great Race, 1930s children's book page, fuzzy cardstock. And this is a page from this book. I love the images that they've incorporated into this book. Just some really fun corner pages. And this is a plate from this book, and it is stunning. It says, down the path came the two of the prettiest blacktails, these two deers coming down the path. Isn't that lovely? Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. So that's one of the original plates from the book. Just some gorgeous vintage crochet here. This is a 1926 fashion page from Delineator magazine. Look at this. You don't get more 1926 than that. Look at the, oh my gosh, they're scrumptious. I love them. I really, really do. And I made this pocket out of an 1856 history book page. This is also from a vintage encyclopedia on bridges. And that's in a Bobbsey twin page from the 50s. And this is another one of these wonderful home economics books, but this one's from the 1920s. So we've got a cooking lesson page here, some recipes, more wonderful vintage botanicals, and I made this little window pane journaling spot. And then this is another blank page from this book. I wanted it to live with the book. Blank pages are hard to come by in antique books, but this one had lots, so I put them back into the book. Just a wonderful poem here from a 1920s children's book. I should have kept that one for the Easter book that I'm making for next year. I have lots of bunnies though. No shortage on bunnies. And look at this plate here. A misstep would have sent us flying over the cliff. No kidding. It's fantastic. This little guy up here watching. Pretty cool. Vintage recipe book page there. And this is another wonderful 1800s Sunday reading for the young pages. And look at these wonderful flower pictures. Japanese flowers. Just gorgeous. There's that vintage recipe book page. Snacks and refreshments. Fun little cluster here. And if you notice, there's a little piece of a book from the 1700s. It was absolutely disintegrated, but I pulled off a few of these little bits. That one has a little crown on it. And this brings us almost to the back of the book. So I kept the last chapter page here, the last word. And that's going to be on Etsy momentarily, hyperstamper.etsy.com. Don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for joining. Bye.